Oh man, y'all gonna hate my take on this. I better start getting your typing fingers ready.
Terrifying situation for a pregnant woman in Florida who was just trying to order pizza to her hotel room.
Right now at 5, a Kissimmee woman accused of attempted murder is sitting behind bars on Christmas.
Yeah, the victim told investigators the delivery driver was upset she couldn't find change to leave a larger tip. And that attack happened about a mile from here at the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, and now the suspect is facing an upgraded charge of premeditated murder.
If you guys honestly thought that I was justifying some woman getting stabbed for not tipping, I hope you trip up a flight of stairs. 2, if I'm lucky. Stupid. Talking about restaurants and just the tipping culture in America, don't get me wrong, I am very aware that the tipping culture in America has gotten a little bit out of hand. When I started noticing that there were retail stores and like big chain coffee shops and places like that that were asking for tips, I knew that we missed the plot completely.
When you go to like a doctor's office, somebody who works in the doctor's office then is asking for tips.
Thank you. Do you expect tips just because it says it now every time?
You don't expect the tips because we want
So
tips.
if you do something right here and you don't say I tipped you digitally, don't know. They are judging you. They should not because they literally can't see.
I'm literally at the airport at the self-checkout machine buying a water. Self-checkout. Who is this even going to?
Like, you think that you guys deserve
For the
it?
most part, yeah. Paying for not just the stuff that you're getting, but also the experience.
How do you feel about those screens?
I don't necessarily like it myself. I feel like it puts pressure on the consumer for no reason. Like, for instance, if I'll go to a little store around here, grab a drink or something, and then they flip the screens like asking for a tip. For what?
You could be in there for like skin cancer, right? So no matter what you're having done, if you're paying, they're flipping the tablet around to you so you can sign. But before that, there's the tip.
Like, there's no way in the world that this is justifiable. And when is this going to end? You know, to me, I feel like the only time you should ever really tip someone is in a restaurant where you're sitting down and you really have no work to do. You're just telling someone what to do, and you hope and you pray to God that they are listening to what you're saying and they give you exactly what you want. And once they give you exactly what you want, that's when you know, okay, this person is deserving of a good tip because they're listening to what I'm saying, care enough to give me exactly what I want. Now, to be honest, I do tip at coffee shops. I go to a coffee shop pretty regularly. They remember my name. They remember my order. Then I sit down at the table and they actually deliver my items to me. That's the only time I tip. The thing about it is that people are under the impression that when you work in all different facets of food industry, that you're deserving of a tip. I'm going to have to say that's not true. I gotta move. This gentleman's trying to do his job and I'm like all up in his way. And I think that sometimes, let me let him go. Oh, he's playing games. Actually, I should ask him. If he comes back around, I'm gonna ask him what he thinks. I think it's really interesting when you get other people's points of view. No shit. No shit. If he comes back around, I'm gonna ask him. I feel like sometimes in restaurants or just in food industry jobs in general, I think people got it completely confused as to when it's appropriate to tip. For me, when it comes to restaurants, and just to give you guys a backstory, for those that are new to the channel, hello, my name is Allie Robbins. I am a filmmaker and a content creator based out of Connecticut, but I've been traveling and I'm currently in Florida right now as a way to discover what's going on in the US, travel to see what art, food, and drinks are like in all different states. And I think that sometimes people don't grasp or understand the importance, what it means to be someone that works in the restaurant industry. I've worked in the restaurant industry for over 15 years because I wasn't just working in restaurants. I worked in catering businesses. I even did delivery for a very short time, but I did catering, upscale, very, very casual, upscale, casual. There's a lot of different facets of restaurants. But the thing I understand is that when I was younger, my family was terrible at tipping. It's not until you actually work in the industry and understand the importance of tipping that you start to, have a little bit of a mind shift, have a little bit more maturity when it comes to how you operate in restaurants. Because I'm telling you, my family used to just throw coins and just dollar bills on the table. We used to be feeding like a family of 10. And I'm like, oh, we're doing so good. And then I realized, oh, that shit, we were fucking them servers. Them servers were not happy to see us. So nowadays, I'm like, okay, now that I understand how the tipping system works in restaurants, especially if they're getting my orders right, I'm gonna tip them appropriately, because how dare someone come in and throw coins on the goddamn table and expect that to be okay? Delivery service though? Absolutely not. I think there's always a risk when you work delivery, whether you're doing Instacart, fucking DoorDash, or even just working at a restaurant and being the delivery driver. I think you're always at risk because you're always going to be wasting your gas mileage for people that could possibly not tip you. You're not guaranteed a tip when you go to places and work. And even as a restaurant worker, you're not guaranteed a tip. It's just respectable and recommended to, because that's how you are going to get your service the way you want. If you want someone to treat you good and they're doing everything right, you should tip them. Tipping in different countries is different. Just I know that in Europe, tips are included in the check. Well, you're in America now, okay? Tips are not included in the check unless you are a party of like 10. You need the tip, especially if everything is good. There's a lot of people on YouTube and on social media that are complaining about the tipping culture. I stand by this, and I've been having the same mindset since the start. If you can't afford a tip at a restaurant, don't eat out. Stay your ass home. There are grocery stores everywhere, and hell, it's cheaper to go to the grocery store and buy food and cook it at home than it is to dine out. You're dining out and you're spending that money for the experience. As someone that's worked in the industry, it's easier for me to spot when I'm going out as a guest at a restaurant and seeing if shit was to get fucked up. Is it the server's fault? Is something out of the server's control? You know, is the server working really hard? Is the back of house workers just not giving a shit? There's a difference. By acknowledging that and understanding that, it's easier for me to navigate, oh, this server really was trying their best and the people in the back of house didn't give a shit. I don't care what anybody says, karma is a bitch. You do not tip bad service. You need to reprimand bad behavior. That's basically what I'm trying to say. When you tip bad service, you are encouraging that person to continue on with their bad service, as opposed to nipping that shit in the bud. Have them get mad, but then have them reflect on why that tip was so bad to begin with. Now let's talk about this chick, because we're not going to spend too much time on it, because I think we all, as just people living on this planet, unanimously and say, you one crazy ass bitch. I'm not out here trying to say you should tip good, otherwise someone's going to come and stab your ass in your house. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying is that everybody's having a bad day. You never know who's coming to your house to deliver your food. You never want to disrespect people. You never want to play with people's money. At the same time, taste and tact. This is why you don't do delivery service jobs. If money is that tight for you, you should have got an hourly job. Work at a retail spot, work as a server in a decent restaurant, because I think delivery that she was delivering for was Marco's Pizza, which is basically comparable to like a Domino's or like a Pizza Hut. Like, you're not making Muko's amount of money. But for me, when I was living in Connecticut, there was a pizza spot that I was living next to, and there were times where I would actually just pick up the food and just bring it to my place. There came a time, like especially during the winter, I did not want to leave. So I would place the order and they would deliver it to me. And I actually started to tip them when I realized that they were actually listening. They were reading the instructions on how to get there. And my food always came perfectly compared to everybody else that was just not reading. This particular pizza spot always did me right, and I always did them right. And each time they did me right, the tip would always go up. And I started to notice that there was always the same two guys that would deliver my food because they just knew. I used to actually add the tip into the order before I received my order, which is stupid as hell. Like, you never want to do that. Like, you're already rewarding people before they even prove themselves. That's idiotic. I stopped doing that shit. So when it comes to this chick, they said the woman was pregnant, as if that bitch gave a shit. If you see this girl's mugshot, she did not care at all that she was stabbing a pregnant woman. But at the same time, this is my thought. This is my thought, because there was no complaint saying that the pizza came wrong, that she didn't come at a reasonable time. It was just that the girl didn't have change, and she ended up giving her a $2 tip. You're not guaranteed a good tip anywhere, especially when you're delivering people's food to their house. If you knew for fact that you wasn't going to tip good, why didn't you just have someone pick up the pizza from the spot? Editing Alley here. After listening to the news report in its entirety, it wasn't that the lady didn't want to leave a big tip. It was that the delivery driver didn't have enough small bills in order for her to leave a big tip. So she just found whatever she could find and just left for a $2 tip.
So yeah, the victim told investigators the delivery driver was upset she couldn't find change to leave a larger tip.
So all in all, this delivery driver was the worst. She did not come to the job prepared, and the lady just gave what she could. And if she had small bills on her, she would have got a much bigger tip. Long story short, let's just take what I say in this video as if the lady intentionally wanted to leave a small tip, because that was not the intention of the lady at all. I mean, there were 2 adults in that motel, and the guy could have easily picked up that pizza if you weren't going to tip anyway. Because when you're placing the order over the phone and then you're driving to the location to pick up your food, it's definitely not guaranteed at all that you're going to tip, because you're already doing all the heavy work. But if you have someone using their car, their gas, their mileage, and their time to deliver food to your place, and the food came out exactly the way you wanted it, I'm not saying you have to, But as a respectable thing, you should probably tip that person. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to. Not everybody's going to have a great day. That chick was crazy because she came back heavy. She came back with her mans and they held the family hostage.
Later that night, investigators say video shows Alvelo returned to the motel with a man wearing a mask, and he forced Irizarry's boyfriend into a bathroom at gunpoint. Irizarry says that's when Alvelo began rifling through their belongings and stabbed her 14 times.
I'm trying to understand how you get stabbed 14 times and still survive. So I assumed that woman was dead on arrival, but she wasn't. So I'm like, what? It's like 50 Cent getting shot 9 times, he's still alive. What? At the end of the day, don't order delivery if you can't tip people well, because you never know who's having a bad day. All right, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're always notified about the new videos that I have coming out. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on tipping? You know what, let's just clear the air. What are your thoughts on tipping? Amazing service, terrible service, delivery service, retail shops, coffee shops. Let me know what y'all think about it. Do you think the tipping culture is crazy? Do you think that there's a certain amount that people should tip to be appropriate? Anything under 20% is pointless. Now, some people would be like, if the money's that bad, then why are you working as a server? You should probably get a real job. First off, serving is a real job. I left a job in Connecticut where people were actually out here thriving, making like $800 a day, $500 a day on a bad day. So I don't want to hear anybody talking just because you went to school and is still in debt for a job that you're getting the same amount of money as someone that's working as a server who didn't have to go to college. I don't want to hear that nonsense. Keep that shit to yourself. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think though, because I'd be very intrigued to read what you guys think. Also, if you guys do not know, I have a website, AllieRobbins.com, where you can find everything that is going on in my life. Whether it's Patreon, where you can support the travels, as I am planning on going out of Florida sometime in April. The summers in Florida are atrocious. Again, that depends because I do have a few things lined up that may change that. You'll see the Patreon, you'll see the podcast, which is where I post every Monday on the podcast talking about life up to this point. And Patreon, I literally throw up random videos. And right now, up until February, like the beginning of February, I am posting about my Connecticut travel. So definitely check that out. Links for all that will be in the description bar below, as well as you can sign up to my monthly newsletter, which is free. Comes out every first Sunday of the month, and that's where you can get everything that's going on with me for the month in one spot. Check it out. I love you all. You guys know I do, though. And I hope to have you all come back for the next episode.